Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatade Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarine. So today we'll see two verses because they are together of chapter 5, 27 and 28. Okay. Sparshan krutva bahirбhayam
Sparshan Kritva Bahirbahyams
Chakshushchaivantare bhruvo
Chaksus Chaivantare Bravahu
Pranapano samo krutva
Pranapanau Samau Kritva
Nasabhyantaracharino
Nasa Bhayantracharino
Yatendriya manobuddhir
Itindriya Mano Buddhir
Munir moksha parayana
Munir Moksha Parayanaha
Vigate cha bhaya krodho
Vigatecha Bhayakrodo
Ya sada mukta eva sa
Yasada Muktayevasa
Sparshan kutva bahirбhayam Chakshushchaivantare bhruvo Pranapano samau krutva Nasabhyantaracharino Yatendriya manobuddhir Munir moksha parayana Vigate cha bhaya krodho Ya sada mukta eva sa. Please chant.
Sparshan Kritva Bahirbahyams Chaksus Chaivantare Bruhu Pranapanau Samau Kritva Nasa Bhayantracharinau Itindriya Mano Buddhir Munir Moksha Parayanaha Vigate Cha Bhayakrodo Yassada Mukta Eva Saha.
Sparshan Kritva Bahirbahyams Chaksus Chaivantare Bhruvo Pranapanau Samau Kritva Nasabhayantaracharino Yatendriya Manobuddhir Munirmoksha Parayanaha Vigate cha Bhaya Krodho Yasada Mukta Eva Saha.
Okay, so let's see translation and purport. Shutting out all external sense object, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within nostrils, thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence. The transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. Purport: being engaged in Krishna consciousness, one can immediately understand one's spiritual identity, and then one can understand the Supreme Lord by means of devotional service. When one is well situated in devotional service, one comes to the transcendental position, qualified to feel the presence of Lord in the sphere of one's activity. This particular position is called liberation in the Supreme. After explaining above principles of liberation in the Supreme, the Lord gives instruction to Arjuna as to how one can come to that position by practice of mysticism or yoga known as Ashtanga Yoga, which is divisible into eightfold procedures such as called Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. In the sixth chapter, the subject of yoga is explicitly detailed. And at the end of the fifth, it is only preliminarily explained. One has to drive out the sense objects such as sound, touch, form, taste, smell by pratyahar process in yoga. Then keep the vision of the eyes between the two eyebrows, concentrate on the tip of the nose with half closed eyes. There is no benefit in closing the eyes together altogether, because then there is every chance of falling asleep. Nor is there benefit in opening the eyes completely, because then there is hazard of being attracted by sense objects. The breathing movement is restrained within nostrils by neutralizing the up moving and down moving air within the body. By practice of such yoga, one is able to gain control over the senses, refrain from outward sense objects, and thus prepare oneself for liberation in the Supreme. This yoga process helps one to become free from all kinds of fear and anger, and thus feel the presence of the super soul in the transcendental situation. In other words, Krishna consciousness is the easiest process of executing yoga principle. This will thoroughly be explained in the next chapter. A Krishna conscious person, however, being always engaged in devotional service, does not risk to losing his senses to some other engagement. This is better way of controlling the senses than by Ashtanga yoga. So Krishna now Krishna is explaining about this person who is in knowledge, who is liberated in this current body, in the existing body also. So he gives several instructions that this person is active within. He controls. In yesterday shloka we saw that kama and krodha vimuktanam. So he has already conquered the kama and krodha, desire and anger, and then he focuses inside for atma, self-realization. And this is how he gets brahma nirvana. Now Krishna is telling what is the way of doing this. So this is actually the explanation of, like Srila Prabhupada mentioned, Ashtanga Yoga, where we try to make the undergo process of dhyana, and then we try to control the senses in dhyan. So here the first thing is Parshan Krutva Bahirbahya. So we have seen the shlokas where Krishna says that Bahaya Sparsha, the enjoyment from the Sparsha, this transcendentalist avoids that. He stops that engagement, which is enjoyed by having the contact of the senses. So he does not delight in him. And then Chakshur, Chakshuscha Chai Vantare Bhru, Antare, he focuses inside. So this process already we can see that to uh, avoid the external sense objects and to focus inside, because eyes and ears are the senses which will get the information, right? So eyes is more impact, right, with the eyes when the eye sees something, right? So to make the dhyan, one has to half close the eyes. You can see the posture of Buddha. It's half closed eyes. And then we focus inside by avoiding the contact with the external objects. So this process is Ashtanga Yoga, but it involves in controlling yama. There are so many yama, niyama, and then you have to practice pranayam. So a lot of hard work has to be done, but this has been practiced by so many yogis in Himalaya, or this, they practice this Ashtanga Yoga. And we can see there are so many yoga studios also who teach this Ashtanga Yoga. So in this, actually, we try to avoid external objects and we try to focus inside by closing the eyes or by going into a secluded place, and then we focus on the breathing, and by focusing on the breathing and the heart, we try to control the mind. So the thoughts will come and thoughts will go. By controlling the mind, we try to control the senses. So this is one of the process by which you can go for moksha. So, Munir Moksha Parayana, he tries for moksha. So, uh, and also this by doing this, he also controls bhaya krodha, ichha bhaya krodha. So, here ichha, bhaya, and krodha. All these he conquers by focusing inside, and such a person is liberated. So here actually some description of Ashtanga Yoga. So this is the process of restraining the senses. And when we say bhakti, bhakti is the process of engaging the senses in the service. So this is the difference, right? So one is avoiding something and one is engaging. So that's why like Ashtanga Yoga, we need a certain qualification. We saw in the beginning of this chapter, or next chapter we will see that to do the Ashtanga Yoga also, people need to have qualification of Nishkam Karma Yoga. They should not be attached to the fruits of their action. So till the time you are attached to the fruits of your action, your mind will be engaged and you will be doing any activity you do, you will be getting engaged more and more. So restraining is not easy. It can be done, but that needs qualification and that needs the process to be followed, right? So these explanations, detailed explanations will come in the 6th chapter where Krishna will explain about the Dhyana Yoga in detail and how it is done, where it is done, who should do it. Prematurely doing Ashtanga Yoga is also not beneficial. It also creates problems. So uh, so Krishna now giving, he explained about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Now he is explaining the Ashtanga Yoga. So once you have Gyan and you renounce the fruits of your action, then you can go for Ashtanga Yoga because your mind, last verse we already saw it, this Kama and Krodha is already conquered. The yogi is not disturbed by desires and anger. So in that situation, you can do this process. So, but if we are not in that situation, how we can practice Ashtanga Yoga? Not so easy. So practicing Ashtanga Yoga also needs higher qualification. So and Srila Prabhupada in the purport, that's why mentions that bhakti is different. Bhakti is easy because we engage the senses. So we just work for Krishna, we serve Krishna, we serve Krishna's devotees. By that we engage our eyes, ear, body, everything. And once we engage everything and we just think of Krishna, then that becomes samadhi. Yeah, so this is bhakti yoga. So that Krishna will start explaining from the 7th chapter. So I think today we'll stop here, but tomorrow's verse is the last verse of this chapter and very important and very mostly very much quoted verse by the gurus and acharyas. So that we'll see tomorrow. Hare Krishna. So any comments, any points anybody want to add? Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.